Yeah, because actually I'm not speaking, but I think that you can hear me now, I guess. Oops. All right, so um, I'll share the link right here. There you go. Test.audio. There you are. Okay. Um, okay. So I'll go to yeah. Try to do this. There you go. I think this will work. Hang on. Alright, so I'll try to set up a Zoom, I guess, uh, Zoom virtual room that where you can chat together. I thought that this would be, when I actually tested it yesterday, it actually worked. You know how technology is. You test it the day before, it works, and when it comes to uh, the actual performance, it doesn't work. So, you know, we'll try to. Okay, so let me try one more time. This is weird. Okay, all right. All right, so I'll try to find new ways. Sorry about that. Um, I'm sending mails. Sorry. Hang on, guys. Oh. I'm sorry everyone, I'm trying to update some of essential things on my laptop, and I'll be back in a few minutes. I'll send you an email. No, oh, there you go. So I'll be right back in. I'll be back very soon. So there you go. Sorry. I'll start very soon, but as you might probably notice, trying and experiencing new technology may comes with, some technical issues. Um, Firstly, it's important to check if anything, well, which I did obviously, but to check if anything worked properly before actually introducing that technology in your teaching. So that's exactly what I did. But even if we do take all precaution necessary, it comes time where you just when you just cannot do anything more than that. To just technology and things are not working because simply because so yeah, we have to actually adjust a couple of things. So yeah. um, so you won't be able to hear me actually on Zoom. You only be able to maybe raise your hand if you have questions. So then, oh, sorry. So yeah, there will be a little, little delay between um, what you hear on YouTube and what I am actually saying live. I mean about 15 seconds. I may count it if you want more precise, but it's about 15 seconds. So if you do have question, don't hesitate to raise your hand. I will actually see you on my other computer. I'm working on with 3 screen. Never I do never have enough screen actually when I do my things. So yeah, if you do have questions, simply raise your hand. I do have right over there. My Zoom is open, so feel free to do so. We will start in about 5 minutes. If you know a colleague or a classmate that is not available for to watch today's streams live, you can simply send her a link to. Well, actually, I will send you girls, sorry, link when the stream will be over. The video will be recorded and will be available on my YouTube channel, so you can actually see it not live, offline. If you do have animals at home, you know that struggle when you see hair everywhere, and yeah. Oh, Alexandra. So we do have, yeah. So to explain a little bit my what I wanted to do this morning is actually we've come to we have a little struggle with discussion and interaction between us during class. So I wanted to set up a virtual space where people can actually gather together and watch a video together while they are able to communicate with each other. It actually worked when I tried it yesterday, but now this morning is not working because because technology. Yeah. Cool. All right, thank you. So I may be answering sorry your question with a little 15 seconds delay or so if you are actually live, because this is the natural latency between the moment I speak and the moment I will answer to your question. So don't be too impatient about it. Don't be too in a hurry with the answer. Don't worry, I do see you. There's no excuses for me not see you raising your hand if you have question. There you go. Be much closer now. There it is. All right. If you could only see the, all the mess in my office right now. I do have a cap, my PC controller. I do have a lot of things, like I don't know how to call it, but it's used to tie your hair. But oops, sorry. This right there. I don't know how to call it, but yeah, it's all over the place right now. So yeah, I think we're here. Donna's just joining the Zoom virtual room. So first of all, I have said it earlier, but now that we're all here, I just want to say that there's a 15 seconds delay between things you will hear and the moment I'll say it. I know it's redundant, I've said it before, but I really want you to understand that because um, it might be a little frustrating, raising your hand and not getting attention from the teacher. So I just want to address that real quick. If you so yeah. All right, there you go. So yeah, I will unmute my mic for the purpose of giving some information. Um, yeah, you should be able to hear me right now. So if you want to follow class properly, by properly, hearing me and actually seeing what's presented on the PowerPoint presentation, you will have to follow the YouTube link that I just sent it to you in the chat section. If you don't know how to open or console the chat, it's at your bottom of your screen, sorry, chat, and I send it a link. I'm sorry. If you want to communicate with each other, actually the Zoom room was prepared because student told me about the concern of it of being not able to communicate with each other. So I set it up a Zoom room so you can chat with each other while you're watching the YouTube video. But if you're on your phone, like I just realized that you're on your iPhone, you won't be able to do both. So yeah, basically what I can do here is to let my microphone unmute like this, and while I'm giving information, I'm not only reading PowerPoints, I'm giving extra information. And actually, I did not give you the today's class PowerPoint actually, I didn't put it on Moodle actually, I think. So I will do it right away. This is the third course, yeah. So I didn't. All right, so I will depose it right away, and yeah, it's actually recorded on YouTube, so you will be able to have access to everything, my voice and the PowerPoint presentation while I'm speaking. So this way you can, get the information that you might have missed during the live sessions. And I will, don't worry about my English; it will get better and better um, as I speak. Oh, hang on. I'm sorry. No, she's unfortunately not there. She had to prepare some, some stuff for the reopening of schools. So yeah, she's a teacher, and actually she told me that it's going to be difficult. Yeah, yeah, she will be there sometimes, but I'm yeah, yeah, yeah. But I will try for today's class. I will try to do both, actually. Both, and while administrating the Zoom uh, virtual room. So all right. There's, yeah. All right. Don't worry about it. Anyway, you can. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I do really have struggle with multiples, multiple password. So I'm trying to. Okay, there you go. There you go. Symbiose. Let's go on Moodle. Oh, I was already there. No, actually, because she muted her microphone. And you can. Yeah. Oh, okay. You can unmute it by selecting the microphone icon at the bottom left of your screen of the Zoom meeting. So it shouldn't be long. Um, while I'm deposing the. There's so many unnecessary steps I have to go through. All right. So, in order to make sure that everyone's understanding what I'm presenting during class, sorry, I'm doing multiple things at the same time and my brain cannot manage it. Sorry. So yeah, in order to make sure that everyone understand everything that I'm saying during class, there will be moments where I'll you know I'll be available for in individual meetings. So we'll do like this. Hang on. PowerPoint presentation course 3. All right. Mhm. Yeah, I know it's kind of complicated the DCF, I think digital framework competency framework. digital competency framework. So yeah, it is actually kind of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so I wasn't supposed to address the DCF today, but I will. Yeah, it does. I will. So yeah, I will have to actually address that uh, for today's class. So it's the core three. Yeah, I'm still trying to find it on my computer. Sorry. Course 3. Oh, there you are. Cannot be more obvious. Enregistrer et afficher. Alright. So I'm trying to deal with 2 computers and 3 screens. So 4 actually with my cell phone, recording the image. So yeah, it might take a little while until I, you know. Yeah, actually, if you want to see the PowerPoint presentation at the same time as I am speaking, it is obviously more less complicated by accessing to my YouTube channel. Otherwise, sorry. Otherwise, you can always have, if you can print the PowerPoint of today's class, which I just deposited, uh, upload, sorry, on Moodle. So, yeah. All right. So, okay. All right. Morning. Mor- Morning, Donna. Oh, it's all right. Can you click on that link I just shared in the chat panel? I'll go reach a second pair of its earbuds. Yes, I did. Yeah. If you don't see anything, you just have to refresh the page. Yeah. All right. Because yeah. I think I muted my micro. No, actually, it's on. You should be able to hear things on YouTube. Make sure that you unmuted video. It may happen, or if make sure also that you have external, um, uh, listening device that's connected to either your computer or your cell phone. It can be earbuds, it can be a headset, or yep. Uh, you all right? You cannot find it in the chat. Oh, all right. Kind of weird. I cannot copy that. Okay. So we'll get through it. Don't worry about it. You know, working with technologies, you know how it is. Well, actually, you might not completely know what I mean by that, but you will certainly soon when you'll be a teacher. So, yeah, of course. Even for me, it's frustrating though. Um, Even for me, because I do like when stuff are working, and you know, this morning it didn't work very well. Even if I tested it yesterday with friends, we actually watched the movies on Netflix together while he was sitting at home, and I was at the in front of my computer, and we were, you know, chatting like a virtual room. So I just sent you an email with the link straight like that, with no message. Sorry for that. So you should receive it. You should receive it. Sorry, in few minutes. Can you share your screen on Zoom, Donna? So this way I can. There's an option where you can share your screen, so actually we can see what you see on your screen. So we on Moodle, sorry, on Zoom, yeah, on Zoom. It's all right. Yeah, it's a 15 seconds delay. That's why I said don't be too uh, you know, too concerned about the fact that I'm not answering your question right away you asked it, because there's a 15-second delay. But that 15 seconds delay allow me to. Oh, I'm hearing myself. Um, yeah, yeah, I do hear myself, but it's okay. I will lower my volume and everything will be fine. Um, I mean, if you want to read the PowerPoint presentation at the same time, I suggest you to go on to view that YouTube video. But still, if you want to ask questions, you can simply raise your, yeah, or mute your microphone like that. But you can simply raise your hand, so I can see you. Like, I'm looking at Zoom right there. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, right there. And I'm actually speaking to you two this way. All right. All right. Okay, so this way you can actually simply listen us by Zoom, but there will be a 15 seconds delay between what you will see on YouTube and what I will actually say at the moment. And if they're the other your other classmate, I think it's uh, Mary. Yeah, Mary's not there. Okay. Okay. So yeah, if Mary log into our Zoom meeting, just let me know, because I won't be paying much attention. Well, yeah. So if you do not have questions, simply turn off your microphone, so this way I won't be hearing myself while I'm speaking, and yeah. Yeah, just mute your microphone while I'm. If you don't have have to ask question or comment on today's class. So finally we do have and also you can also turn down the volume on Zoom if you don't want to hear me, with a 15 seconds delay. If you don't want to hear me twice. So yeah, finally we're here. 50 minutes. Yeah, so 50 minutes after class starts. You know how it is to work with technology. There's often issues like that's happening. So I did. I think it's yeah. Stacy asked me if we can go through the DCF competency framework, because there was some of the information that wasn't clear. So yeah, I will do that right away. I wasn't supposed to do it today, but I will try to. So first of all, I try to find it on my computer. Sorry for that. Professional competency, no. Yeah, DCF framework. So there you go. I'll try to make sure that you see it. Okay, so with a 15 seconds delay, I'm still reminding you that I'll present you first of all, the Digital Competency Development Continuum, aka the Digital Competency Framework, or the DCF. This is a long document, actually. This is a long document, and it is a new document as well. I think the official version of it went online on 2019, so last year, I guess, September 2019 to be more precise. So basically what we have to learn from that document is that, well, first of all, what are the basis of that DCF? Well, the Ministry of Education actually thought it would be a great idea to develop more precisely what are the various dimensions of the digital competency, which is actually referring to the professional competency number 8. Number 8, which is the using of ICT to I don't know I haven't memorized it in English, but I can tell you in French. So yeah, the professional competence number 8, which is the use of ICT, they thought that it wasn't complete enough, and I'm totally agree with that. I'm totally agreeing with that. It was, at early 2000 when when first PFEQ, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but the Programme de Formation pour l'École québécoise was introduced in 2000, in early 2000s. So there was at that moment a professional competency for the using of ICT, but obviously it wasn't complete enough. So they decided 20 years later, by the way. Yep. Programme de formation de l'école québécoise. Oui. Yes. Sorry. The the main document that you will refer to all along. Yeah. I wasn't sure how to say it in English though, so yeah. QEP. All right. So I'll try to remember that. So yeah, so they thought it wasn't defined enough. So I can read that introduction. Oh, I can see you now, Donna. So yeah, yeah, I do can see you right now. Cool. Uh, don't worry, I haven't had an haircut since the start of the pandemic, so that's why I'm wearing hats actually. So if you were asking why, this is why I do not usually teach with hats or a cap or something like that. So yeah. This being said, digital competency development continuum. I won't read the introduction at all, but it explains what are the reasons for that document, and this concerns as well the teachers and the students, as well as any citizen that will be invited to use the technologies in their lives. So yeah, they split the the, the competency number 8 in 12 dimensions. Developing continuum of the various dimensions. Oh, and by the way, this is available on the internet, and I think I've uploaded the version on Moodle, if I'm not wrong. So, but I'm never wrong, so it should be on Moodle. that was sarcastic about it. So, yeah, so first of all, the first dimension, exerting ethical citizenship in the digital age. Behaving ethically, taking into consideration the social, cultural, and philosophical diversity of digital society, as well as the social, economic, environmental, and professional contexts in which interaction may take place. So basically, what the first dimension means is that you have to take in consideration the diversity of the students that are in your class. When introducing new technology, um, for example, right now we cannot have a class, in a physical place. So I did have to find technologies in order to be able to give you class virtually. So, but I had also to take in consideration every particular and specific context that you are living with, that you're living with. For example, if you have kids, if you do have a full-time job, if you do have, there's multiple examples of that, which are, by the way, expressed in the present document. Well, in the French version, there's example to make sure that you understand, but they didn't include it in the English. Oh, yeah. So there it is. So it's detailed for every single dimensions. What's the targeted elements and what's the level of uh, uh, the level of the competency that you might have for every targeted elements. Yeah. So I will not go in detail for all of the yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, this is actually a good question. So I will repeat the question for the purpose of the recording. So the question asked was, and correct me if I'm wrong, which person are concerned with the beginning, intermediate, and advanced level of development for every target elements, and that's an actual good question because this is for everyone. Actually, teachers. no, well, it is non-directly targeting, pupils, children. Sorry. So it actually concerns as well as teachers, administrative people, students, even parents, I think. So this document is actually directed to not only the teachers but the students as well, or the as well, because behave ethically with the ICT doesn't only concern teachers but students as well, because they will eventually be able to express their citizen duty. So they will have eventually to behave ethically, know the digital impact of technology, think about the issues that digital technology may introduce in their life. They do have also to make an ethical reflection. If I take, for example, the ethical reflection, I might ask students and teachers as well, everything that I'm posting on social media, what are the consequences on that behavior? And this is the kind of ethical reflection that can be introduced with particular behave that we have with technology, and it can reflect to not only teaching context or teaching situation, but a life situation in this digital world. So I'm not sure if I answered that question. Okay. 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 Yeah. This this is more detailed version of the professional competency number 8, and it is complementary, to and it's more. Yes, this actually meant to precise that professional competency number 8. So this is an official document, but this is not prescriptive. I'm not sure if I'm using the right word, but you are not professionally obligated to refer to this document, but eventually you will be invited to integrate it more explicitly in your teaching. So that's why I'm introducing you to this document right away, so it will not be a surprise if you have to eventually. So I did not want to go into more details about that document, because I'll be simply reading lines, and there's no pedagogical specific pedagogical outcomes to that, obviously. So this 12 dimensions, some of them may may look similar, obviously, and this is a main critique that I have to make about that document. So I think this is still in a beta version. So I mean, it's official, it's available for teachers, but there's a lot of work that need to be done in order to complete that that document. So if you have more precise or more specific question about it, you can send me an email, or simply ask me a question right away by our Zoom meeting. So Let's go back to this PowerPoint presentation. So yeah, well, initially it was planned to introduce that DCF, but like I talked, like I just talked, I didn't found that there will be pedagogical advantage to do so. But because mainly today's class is about reliability of sources on the internet, and if we do have time, if not, it's okay. We will do it next class. Reliability, yeah, like I said, of sources on the internet, and some introduction to searching tools. And by searching tools, I not only mean Google search, even though it's the more commonly used searching tool in the world, if I'm not wrong. Well, at least in Americas. I will also discuss about communicating at the digital era. So not only, not only virtual communication like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or stuff like that, but I will also introduce emails and and particular conventions or rules or norm, or I don't know how to call it, but um, things that we usually do when we communicate with emails, like signature, how to set up our own personalized signature, how to introduce an email. Yeah. I'm not quite sure if that kind of technology exists. You mean okay, okay. I will try to find technology that's allowed to actually know if okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So I will try to look for that. Obviously, this intrigues me. Of course, I will look forward to have a better understanding of that. Yeah, yeah, but I will also address how to set up your email box on your phone, so we can receive emails directly with your phone. So this way you can see, and we're also going to discuss about uh, issues that comes with that kind of technology. Being uh, available for communication at any moments of the year, at any hour, at any time, anywhere. So there is some issues about that, some professional issues. Um, I don't know if we're going to discuss about it during this class, or during the class that we will talk about the cybersecurity and privacy with digital technologies. So I'm not quite sure, but I will obviously talk about that. Um, don't worry about it. So yeah, introducing DCF. Like I said, I will skip this part, and we will go back to the DCF if we do have time at the end. But I'm not sure that we will. Um, so let's talk about reliability of sources on the internet, because you know that nowadays informations are there is no other moment in time in our history where we could access information so easily than today. Okay, so and there's not only pros about this. There's some cons that we must address, some disadvantage um, about being able to access to multiple information and so many sources on the internet. sometimes more is not better. Okay, so quantity does not means quality, and we will discuss about how to make sure that the information that we're referring to, either is it for professional work or simply sharing stuff on social medias, how to protect yourself from sharing false information or consulting false information, because there's actually technique that we can use in order to verify the the reliability of our information. So more precisely, what we're going to discuss about is what is actual reliable and what's not. And we also going to address that you may have heard of, but what's called alternative facts, which I found very funny because, well, I don't want to spoil everything, but well, you will see. Different types of sources. Different type of source. Like we're going to discuss what is a scientific source, what is a professional source, an historical source, journalistic source, and we're going to because we're not looking at a source the same way. If it's either scientific or journalistic, there are different way to look at the sources depending on what type of source am I looking at. We're also going to discuss about how to make sure a source is reliable, of course, and how to verify a context behind the pictures. And there's a little, trick that you can easily do at home to verify where originates a picture, where a pictures come from, because contextual context is actual as important as the information itself. So yeah. So what's reliable and what's not? Just let me know if it's too small. If the characters are too small, I can. I think. Oh, I will change my camera. There you go. You don't need to see me that much. Yeah, it's much bigger now. Okay. So, well, when I was preparing that PowerPoint, in more particularly this slide, I really, I asked myself, how am I going to introduce that reliability? Well, the first thing I do when I don't know how to introduce a subject, I start by define it. Okay, the first step that you should look forward to was definition of that word. Reliability. This is an obvious one, but it may concern some particularities that we might not have thought of at first. But that's as important as the meaning itself. So reliability means, according to Cambridge Dictionary, it means the quality of being able to be trusted or believed because of working or behaving well. That doesn't help us very much, okay? So we're going to discuss about it in more details, because what we mean about what trusted or believed mean, on what basis this trust or belief are based on, and what working and behaving well means. Okay, this is a very vague definition that we must be more precise about it in order to address that topic. So what happens when it comes to sources? How can information or sources can work or behave well? Okay, so this is rhetorical question. These are not actual question. I'm not asking you to answer that, but I will do it myself. What happens when it comes to sources? Can a source be reliable or not? Well, according to the definition, the quality of being able to be trusted or believed. Not sure a source can be believed or trust, and I'm not quite also sure that information can work or behave well. These are all characteristics that belongs to people or institution, which are actually the ones that produce that information. So yeah, how can information or sources can work on behave well? Now, yeah. Well, actually, it refers to people who are working or behaving well in terms of information they give to us. So, informations are. I'm not going to too much of philosophical reflections in the out there, but basically it means that people who are working of behaving well in terms of information to give to us. So reliability reside mostly on the person that gives us the information, and that is very important when it comes to verifying the reliability of information, the quality of the information that we actually find. And this, I have a quick few questions that you can ask yourself before using an information that will come in few slides from here. But yeah, the first thing that we must address is who are the ones that are sharing that information, and this is really important. For example, well, I think I have to do more example later on, but this basically means that reliability essentially rests on the author's process of giving information, in which the quality of information itself would be affected by that process. So, for example, if I'm, well, not if, but I am teaching the uses of ICT for pedagogical purposes. Well, if I did have that job, it's because I, fill some requirements, I guess. Not sure if I'm using the right word. Prerequisite. I'm not sure how to say it, but I'm sure you do understand. It's because the university judged that I. Okay, cool. Thank you for that support. Alex not here to give me that kind of support today, so it's appreciate. So yeah, this actually because why I did get this job is because I, university thought that I had the qualification for that job, and this means that I'm, trustable in terms of the information that I'm giving you, and this should be the same with the information that we look forward on the internet. Either it's on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Google, on whatever website you might go. Everything that you see, everything that you learn from the internet must be, of course, verified. Of course, always. And we're going to discuss about how can we verify those informations later on. So yeah, this basically means that reliability essentially rests on the author's process of giving information, in which the quality of information itself will be affected by that process. All right. Yeah. Yeah. According, I'm not, I'm not claiming myself, because of, humility concern. I want to be humble about it. So there's more credible source than me, but I can ensure you that all these information have been verified before they are presented to you. So yeah, you don't have to do that double check. I will ask you to do later on. So yeah. I'm pretty sure that you yeah, I'm pretty sure that you did your yeah, but you will notice that I'm not on much. Yeah, you I'm pretty sure this is already done. So yeah, what does work or behave well in terms of when addressing our source of information, in this case, people or institutions. So what does work or behave well means when we address the author's action of giving information? You know, there's always an intention be- behind a message. Okay, either it's a message to convince people, either it can be simply an intention of informing people, like I am actually right now. It also can be political reasons of transmitting information. We will discuss about that later on. But there's always a meaning of, but this meaning of giving the information is, hidden to the people who actually read the information. We cannot, well, there's actually ways to know that, but we cannot know exactly what are the means behind a message. So we can call someone who's giving information a source. So every time I will be saying a source, I refer to someone or something, something like an institution or a government or stuff like that, and someone for individuals. So we can call someone and something who's giving information as source of information. And when we discuss of the reliability of source, it concerns directly the person who gives that information, and we must then address the characteristic of source reliability, in which I call credibility, interpretation, and corroboration. This might look, firstly, this might look complicated or, complex, but this is really, really simple. I'll show you in a minute. So, what's credible? Actually, can a person or an information? Well, once again, I look forward to for a definition of, credibility, more particularly credible. So it's basically the ability to be believed or trust, which refer directly to the definition of reliability. So we're not off the track when we're talking about credibility, of course. So is a person can be credible or not? Yeah, of course. But an information, it's hard to say that an information can be credible, because it refers to the capacity to be believed or trust. So yeah, it can only concern someone as individual or as institution, and not something like text or information or videos or stuff like that. There's other characteristic that we can define those element of information that we will discuss later on. And having the ability to be believed or to be trusted most of the time relies on someone's expertise in the concerned field. So, for example, would you believe someone who's talking about, DNA and organically modified genetics, if that person do not have a diploma or some sort of formation of training, in that field of interest? Well, you can, because you can actually do anything you want, but it's you know it it's not it's not, this is not the best person to refer if you want to have information about those topics. So you know, trustable or believable people most of the time relies on someone expertise. It can be, you know, scientific expertise. Sorry, like myself. I do not have much of experience of teaching in classroom, but I do have some experience with, you know, um, concepts and theory in education that I'm trying to reinvest in my practice. Yeah. So yeah, most of the time it relies on someone expertise. So what the first thing we need to do when, you know, verifying information? Yes, of course, it's verifying what is the expertise of the person that's giving us the information. You know, what's the expertise of the source? And we must do some research about that person. So who is he or she? What degree does he or she has? Where does he she works? So there's a lot of information that you must investigate in order to clearly say that yes or no, this source is or isn't credible. So make sure that you address those questions each time, and I really put the emphasis on each time, because I mean, literally each time you're reading information, you should actually look out for who's the person sharing that information. And this works as well on Facebook, by the way, particularly on Facebook, where so many wrong informations are being shared. So yeah, each time you look out for information about a particular topic, a particular question, and depending of the nature of the information, of course, but we will get into this later on. If you do have questions, don't hesitate. Please. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Um, Basically, you will have to go on Google. We will get into some technical what you mentioned. It's being part of the technical process of what are the steps in order to. So we will discuss about that in minutes, of course. But there's easy way. It takes like 10 seconds in order to verify either is a picture or a text. So yeah, we do have the possibility to verify the origin of pictures. All right, you will know in a few minutes. Don't worry, we'll get into this later. So yeah, so basically, credibility relies on the expertise of a person that's giving us information, and okay, this is going to be a challenging part. We're now going to discuss about the interpretation. So if I ask you what interpretation means, this may, you know, sound like a negative kind of thing. That interpretation, you know, modify facts and, you know, leads people into fake or wrong information, and this is actually not true, simply not true, and we will discuss about this. So this may sound like an obvious question to you, but so many times I see students not care about the degree of interpretation of an information, because there's a difference between facts and facts, FACTS, and interpretation. Okay, these are not opposite to each other. These are complementary, and you know, all the way to the other extremity of that, you know, continuum line, I should say, from fact The opposite of fact, it's opinions. And by opinions, I mean what you feel about something. Okay, you cannot rely on someone's feeling in order to argue about something, and this should be, the universal way of looking at information is to secondly, after looking at who's the person writing that information, I'm asking to myself, is this an opinion, or is this based on facts? Is this based on feelings, on what I think or what I believe it is, or it is based on what is actually is? So interpretation is defined according, of course, to the Cambridge Dictionary, is defined as an explanation or opinion, which I don't like. In that definition, this is the part I don't like. An explanation or opinion of what something means. So basically, I wrote it with capital letters on the on PowerPoint, and opinions are not facts. Okay, I will say it again to make sure that everyone understands it. Opinions are not facts. Okay, like, sorry for the capital letters, but those weren't necessary. Rule number 1: in order to make sure that the information is the most close possible to facts than to bloggers' opinion, okay, which we want to clearly distinguish between. This doesn't mean that all interpretations are bad thing. Rather, it's sometimes necessary to interpret facts in order to give them sense. Okay, because if we only have access to facts, we couldn't be able sometime to understand what actually those facts means. We do need someone to explain to us what facts means. This class, is a good example. Okay, I'm taking scientific findings in order to build that class, in order to construct all the information I'm giving you right now. But if I want to give you the information or the meaning of that information, I must first interpret those information, those facts, in order to present to you. Otherwise, it won't make no sense to you. So so this doesn't mean that all interpretations are bad thing. I think I do have an example. Yeah. And while we're here, there's no such thing as alternative facts. If there's an alternative, it's because it's an interpretation of a fact and not, a fact itself. Why I do talk about alternative facts is that I think it was firstly introduced, but I may be wrong. It was, I think, firstly introduced in Fox News channel, because they said that some of the facts did not fit with opinions of their audience, which is actually which is actually concerning and quite weird, because facts are by definition something that is known to have happened or exist, especially something for which proof exists or about which there is information. How can you have an alternative to something that have been proven right or have been proven true. It's kind of dichotomic. Those two words, alternative and fact, are like, by meanings, they are opposed to each other. So this is why I found kind of funny people using the term of alternative facts in order to give their opinion about something, which obviously opinions are not facts. So if you do have questions, still don't hesitate. Yeah, because this, I think, kind of important part of that. So there's no alternative answer to 2 plus 2, equals 4. There's no alternative answer to 2 plus 2. I mean it equals 4. There's no question about it. No one's going to question this. So why it will exist alternative to other facts? So anyway, there can be an alternative way to achieve that answer. I can say 2 multiplied by 2, or 8 divided by 2. Sorry, I'm not really good at math. So yeah, 1 plus 3 would actually be not an alternative to the answer, but the alternative of the way to the way to do we get to that answer. And the fact is actually the answer. It's 4. So there's no alternative answer to that mathematic equation. We'll have much more example of that. I think it's right now. So the answer, exactly, because it's obvious when it comes to mathematics to say that there's no alternative answer to a mathematical equation. But when it comes to less, I don't know how to say it, but less obvious facts, it may become more, it may come harder to distinguish facts from interpretation, in which we will discuss in a few seconds. So am I speaking loud enough? I didn't look at, okay, cool, thank you. So I like to use statistics when come the time to distinguish facts from interpretation. And I used, this custom-made sentences, so I didn't take it from anyone or anywhere on the internet. So basically what I do mean exactly, I'm using the same facts in order to produce those sentences. So firstly, unemployment rate has increased from 5 to 18% in the last trimester. Okay, you can see that there's no tricky way that I have modified that line in any manners. Second one, unemployment rate has shown a 13% increase within the last 3 months. This is also, really close to facts, as I interpret those information to say that there was a raise, an increase of the employment rate, which the means is different from saying there's an increase from 5 to 18%, because if I only say there's a 13% increase, it can be from 50 to 63%. It can be from 20 to 33%. We do not know what was the rate at the initial point and what was the rate of unemployment at the end of the trimester. So this way it can be used. Sorry, I'm just going to highlight that second sentence. So this way I could use that formulation in order to hide what, the importance of the increase, because a 13% increase, it doesn't have the same importance if the number were already high, if it started from 0 to 13% increase, this is critical. But if it's from 70 to 83%, the increase is less important, and also depend on the context, because if you have 70% of unemployment rate, this is going to be real bad, and a 13% increase, you won't feel it at all. The third sentence that I wrote down is unemployment rate has become higher than ever this year. So here I'm not showing any statistics. I'm interpreting facts, of course, like I said, but I'm hiding more information to the readers. So I only say that the employment, which is true, actually has become higher than ever this year. It can be true if we're on the first trimester and there's an increase. Of course, this year this will be the higher increase of unemployment rate. But if we are at the third trimester, it can mean something else. Fourth sentence, unemployment rate has, more than ever, become a major concern for authorities. And this is normal that you don't see much more clearer link between the first sentence and the last one, because this was obviously intended to be presented that way. So you can easily identify that the more interpretation I'm having to facts, the less we see facts in those statements. So here I'm not telling anyone what was the raise, what are the percentage of people that are unemployed. I'm not giving any timeline information about when it is. I'm only saying that, and this universal sentence, any government will be concerned about an increase of the unemployment rate. So it becomes has become. So sorry about that syntax though. So it become a major concern for the authority. And finally, the unemployment rate has been caused by the inactivity of our government. Okay, this is clearly an opinion. Okay, so you can see the evolution from, unemployment rate has increased from 5% to 18% in the last trimester, to the unemployment rate has been caused by the inactivity of our governments. So I'm not quite sure if you can see the difference between those 5 statements, but these are not only used to trick people on Facebook or on Twitter to to force their understanding of a situation or something like that. These are oftenly used in the media that we are actually reading and that we actually refers to. So the most important thing that we have to remember, and we have to take in consideration, is the level of interpretation of the presented facts in what we are reading. this kind of complicated to explain, especially when it comes to second language. The When I use the second language, but I'm sure that that example shows clearly shows the difference between facts and opinions, which actually the last one is clearly opinions. There's no fact in that sentence. And how do I know that there's no fact in that sentence? Well, you must say that it is obvious. Yes, of course it is, but we need arguments to justify our saying, because otherwise we are doing exactly the same. We're just giving opinions about someone else's opinion, and this is not how we properly distinguish facts from opinions. The unemployment rate has been caused by the inactivity of our governments. So, has been caused by. How do we, how can we be sure that there's no, other causes for the unemployment rate other than the inactivity of the government? When someone's saying stuff like this and there's no reference to it, there should be a warning siren in your head. A fake news warning, like, please double check that information, because this is clearly opinions. So why did that? So yeah, can you see the difference between those affirmations? Which one you'll be more tempted to use? Yeah, I will ask you a question about it. Because I want to, since we do have the opportunity to discuss with each other, I actually want to know if you can see the differences between those affirmation, and what are and on which basis can you say that there's actual differences between those. So yeah, if you want to speak, simply unmute your microphone and yeah, let me know what you think about it while I'll be hydrating myself. And also, which one you'll be more tempted to use. I think this is the most important part of that question. Not sure if Donna and Stacy are still here. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, which one you'll be more tempted to use if you want to, make a point or on something, or simply inform yourself? Okay. Okay, you'll be tempted to use the second one, and can you justify that choice? Yeah. Okay. So the second way of saying it makes more sense to you. To make someone? I didn't get the last thing you said. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. It's more grounded into reality, yeah, and you are totally right, because people will, prefer things like that, because yeah, yeah, yeah. So you have, yeah, there's actual and you're totally right about it, because there is a cognitive process that you have to go through in order to give those facts sense. And this is called interpretation, and this is exactly what I wanted to show you, is that people will be more tempted to use you know the more interpreted sentence about facts, because sometimes it's, well, either not understandable for most of the people, or otherwise it is, like you said, human brains, minds, as well as anyone else's brain, is kind of lazy. Our brain is meant to, do stuff with less effort. So yeah, this called also, yeah, yeah, exactly. With all that information, we're giving already cooked meal to our brain, instead of preparing the meal ourselves. And by that, I mean, this is an easy calculation to do. 18 minus 5, it's 13 increase. It's, you can see it right away. But when it comes to, more precise informations and more complex information, this might be, demanding for our brain, and we will be, tempted to use um, the other ones, because firstly, we don't have to calculate, or do a cognitive process in order to understand the facts that are presented to us. But also it allows us to, make it, make a mind about it. But this is not our mind. This is someone else's opinion, or someone else's interpretation of it. So we must, you can all, you can use all of these sentences, maybe not the last one, but you can use all the sentences. The only thing that I want you to remember is, this is not what you think about the facts. This is what someone else think about it. Yeah, other people think about it. So if you're using the third one, so unemployment rate has become higher than ever this year. So you don't simply think, oh yeah, it is true, it is has become higher than ever this year. You must, look at, well, what are the numbers you're referring to in order to say that, so I can make a clearer mind about it. So it's not a bad thing to refer to the second sentence, as Donna said. Unemployment rate has shown a 13% increase within the last 3 months. But it is important to know that 13% increase, where does that come from? Is that from 0 to 13%? Is that from 50 to 63%? Because in some contexts it makes difference. It makes, sorry, a big difference between those, from where it comes from, that 13%. So yeah, basically, the thing that I want you to remember is, these are not your interpretation of the reality. This is someone else's. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, exactly. And after those numbers, authors will be, will insert where does those numbers comes from. It may be statistic. Sorry, I will be writing it in French, but you know, it can comes from Statistic Canada, which is an institution, a credible institution when it comes to statistics about unemployment rate. So yeah, this is the way to really, you know, make difference. You know, this like this is presented, the way that this is presented, it's easy to you know, to differentiate the sentences or the statements because they are put aside. You know, we can clearly know that the last one is an opinion because we're comparing it with the first one, which is clearly more closer, to fact. But if you do have only the last sentence, you know, it's really more challenging to say that if this is fact or this is opinion. And you know, there's other way that you can verify the information other than comparing. Oops, sorry. Control Z. There you go. And well, once again, those are all interpretation of facts, but the main difference is that we sometimes can extract those facts, and sometimes they're voluntarily or not hidden with someone else's interpretation. So I put an you know, an image that expressed that relation between Oh, I can see the request actually. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Can someone actually send her maybe this keyboard? Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's a gamer keyboard. This is the noise. This no, not that. No, not that much. It's actually, yeah, it's around more around 150. Yeah, it's around more 100 or 100 of and 50. Yeah, the whole system. Oh yeah, so if you're talking about the whole system, this is much like, you know, we're counting in thousands. So don't, you know, don't. Yeah, I must. Yeah, I think this keyboard is, you know, affordable. It's like $100 to $120 or something like that. So, yeah, I do have a lot. I can show you that. This is my office right now with two screen, and yeah, it's my camera plugged into my computer. That's it's kind of complex setup. Yeah, but necessarily one. So if well, okay, so maybe if someone can send her I can do it. Invite. Copy invite link. Okay. I can get into Zoom. All right. Thanks. Oops. It wouldn't be long. There you go. I'm sending a link to Stacy right away, so she can join us. Okay. So I sent Stacy a link. There you go. Okay. So I've sent Stacy a link, so I'll try to be aware of when she joins us. Okay, so not quite sure if you can see the picture that's presented on YouTube, but basically you can see a world inside which there's the facts word written with an arrow pointing to human brains in which we can actually read beliefs. And between that, that arrow is represents interpretation. This is, I think, the most relevant image that I can show to you of how interpretation are, keys to understand the world. So they are necessary. But it's important to know that the interpretation are not the facts. Okay, so in which this is a tool in order to understand fact, in which constitute the world that we live in, and the interpretation is used in order to make up a mind about those facts. So like I said earlier, interpretations are sometimes essentials to our understanding. There you go, Stacy. Will join us real soon. So essential to our understanding of the world because, and of course, it can be used in our professional as well as your academical life. Academic. Not sure if that word exists. Life to legitimate your choices or the statement that you make. So I didn't read that sentence twice, but this is the thing that I already have been said earlier. So as long as the person who's interpreting is considered as credible in his or her field of expertise. But don't get too surprised if someone asks you to justify your statement of professional actions or professional actions with facts instead of interpretation or instead of opinions. So you may be, for example, be invited to tell parents on which basis you justify the uses of a technique or the uses of a tool that you want to integrate into your classrooms and stuff like that. So as well for I said the parents, of course, but as well as for the administrative people and of course students, because it's not because they are students that they don't have to understand why you're integrating tools or methods or using new way of teaching things. So and it is actually very important to communicate with your students those informations to your students so they can clearly understand why the reasons what are the reasons behind those professional decisions. So this way they will be more, tempted to be engaged within those. So it cannot always be possible, especially within teaching context. That is most of the time characterized with particularities that are sometimes not taken into consideration in studies because facts are not everything. It doesn't mean that studies shows that I'm thinking aloud. The technique X have been proven, efficient for some teaching in some context and particular situation, but that doesn't mean it will, be as successful as it was in the study in your classroom, because there's particularities that we must take in consideration. So yeah, this is why the interpretation part relies most of the time on your shoulder. Not no one knows no one knows the teaching context better than the teacher, him or herself. So yes, of course, you want to justify the use of some technique or some tools or software that you want to integrate, but this is not everything. There's a contextual characteristic that we must take in consideration in order to well integrate technologies in our classroom that might probably not be addressed in different studies that you're using or refer to in order to make those decisions. So yeah, I'm trying to be the most clear possible about it. It's it's a tough topic to address. So how to tell when information are closer to facts than from interpretation or opinions? Well, it depends on how information are presented and the nature of those information. What I mean here is, sometimes you will see on Facebook, I will take that as an example. You will see a picture with statements over a picture, and you will see that on your Facebook feed. And this is that information has been given to you within a context, and there's an intention, like I mentioned earlier, of behind that information that is presented to you. So yeah, most of the time the authors will let the reader know where the information are coming from. This way it's easy to relocate the initial reference. So like I did all along this presentation, is when I use a definition for a word or a concept, I put where did I get that information, because this is not everything that comes out from my mind. Obviously, I'm presenting you stuff that's actually based on scientific or professional findings. And so yeah, if I want to trick you into some way of understanding stuff, I can first change the sentence in order to achieve that that objective, but that goal, sorry. But I can also don't let you know where I did get that information. So it can also emerge from a rhetorical process where statements are mostly justified by logic and human reasoning, for example, philosophy. This process is only used when something have not yet been proven, or simply when they cannot be proven. Okay, so there are information that we actually can prove, that we have research that I've been made in order to better understand and in order to produce that knowledge, those facts that we are actually using. But there's other process where we cannot actually access to those facts, or simply that we cannot have access to those facts. Taking for example morality. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but when it comes to human moral decision choices, philosophy is full of those kind of dilemma where you must justify your choice with human reasoning instead of justifying with scientific findings and facts. So there's a difference between those two. I can take as an example cultural cultural concern about education, for example. So people, nations don't see education, don't see the main goal of education the same way, depending on where they grow up and where they live. So this this is not something that can be proven true or not true, but this is something that can be argued as well, of course. So yeah, if you do have questions, because I don't feel like that I'm clear enough. So make sure that don't hesitate to ask question if you do have so. Yeah, when it comes from a rhetorical process, obviously that information cannot be verified. It can be argued. It can be because it comes from human reasoning. Yeah. It concern rhetorical means that it concern arguing and make a point about something, arguing about something. This is the process of arguing with. If it's the only question I have, well, I'm kind of impressed of. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you cannot justify by using facts, because, like I said, there's a question that cannot be addressed by using facts, because it implies some values, some personal values, some cultural particularities and stuff like that. So there is no universal answer to those kind of questions. So yeah, so when it comes time for justify by logic and human reasoning, of course you cannot verify that information, but you are invited to recognize those the statements where are that implies values and cultural particularities from those who are founded on based on facts, scientific findings. Well, so usually scientific journals where scientific findings are published are endowed with the strict rules in order to regulate if information are close as possible to fact, with some disciplinary specificities which we are not going to address. But this can be recognized as peer review label on the journal website or article. So any source of information that comes from a scientific article, from a scientific journal, we will discuss about it, about what are the characteristics of those scientific journals. But when it comes from a scientific article, you don't have to verify that information, because that process has already been done before publishing that article. And peer reviewed means that there's other scientists in the world that read the article, and they have a grid for verifying that information. But it's like a safety label that we put on an article. That means yes, it has been reviewed by other scientific in that field of concern. And yeah, the information that are presented in that article are legit. So anything that's published, anything that can be classified as scientific article in a scientific journals is reliable source. Okay, so because the main concern right here is reliability of source and the exactitude of the information. So yes, if an author doesn't clearly indicate where the information comes from, there should be a warning sign popping in your mind. So that information needs to be confirmed. And how it can be confirmed, it's with the use of corroboration, in which we're going to discuss right now. So is there any question? I'm going through more specifically about what is a scientific, what can be classified as scientific versus what can be classified as professional, historical, journalistic, etc., etc. So I will discuss about that later on. But so yeah, if you do have questions about all that interpretation part, feel free to ask. What's corroboration? According to Cambridge Dictionary, see, I indicated where I found the following information, so you can actually go look out for yourself if I'm, quoting it right. Corroboration is, yes, of course, a very hard to say word, but is to add proof to an account, statement, idea, etc., with new information. So with the use of corroboration, you actually read an information, and when there's a warning bell that's ringing in your head saying that you must verify that information, the first thing you do is, well, I'm going to look out for new source of information. If we can see if that information is not identical but similar to the other one, if it's not contradictory, yeah, to the initial information that you found. And to corroborate implies searching additional information that concern the same or very similar topic produced by a credible source, while it presents facts or interpretation of those facts. So we will get into it more precisely all along the semester about corroboration and interpretation and stuff like that. But yeah. But this doesn't mean that if there's 80 people liking your comment on Facebook in which you express your belief into flat earth theory, okay, I'm using this as an example, of course, what you said is more likely to be true or facts. It doesn't mean that if there's it doesn't mean that more people are agreeing with you on some opinion or some belief. It doesn't mean that this consists into facts. Okay, of course, it add some sort of strength into that information, or a strength into that argument or something like that. But this is not a way to verify the trustability, if I say so, of some information of some person that's giving that information. So there's some conditions that we must discuss. First of all, corroboration cannot be done on opinions. Okay, otherwise it's called a sophism. Corroboration can be done, yes, with interpretation, and this is where it comes a little tricky, because it's with interpretation that the corroboration is mostly needed. Okay, and facts don't need to be corroborated, since the definition of fact implies the existence of proof. So first statement, corroboration cannot be done on opinions because it's called a sophism. As an example, I love to use the President of the United States. I really hate to call him that, but he's been elected. When Donald Trump says that all of the people who follow him on social medias agree with him on a statement, it doesn't make that statement more or less true. Well, it actually simply means that nothing at all. Okay, it means nothing at all about the truthfulness of that statement. It's simply, it maybe is more popular than someone that has only, I don't know, 10 or 15 followers on Twitter or on Facebook, or, it's not because more people share the same opinion, it doesn't mean that opinion is true. Well, because of course opinions cannot be true, but it does only means that, well, more people are agreeing with you. The second statement that I've made is facts. This is actually the third one I've presented, but facts don't need to be corroborated, since the definition of fact implies the existence of proof. So do we really need to multiple people saying that 2 + 2 = 4 to prove that statement true? Of course not, okay, because facts are by definition some things for which proof exists. So if there's 1, 10, 100, or 1,000 people saying that, arguing that 2 + 2 = 4, it doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't change the strength of that, the truthfulness of that statement, because obviously this is a fact. And so, well, when it comes to interpretation, like I said, it's a little bit tricky because there's some condition that we will discuss about. But most of the time, when reading a non-peer-to-peer review article, of course, interpretation is essential in order to extract truth from a statement. Okay. For example, did I add an example about this? Yeah, I didn't make an example, of course. But firstly, when corroborating interpretations, we must ensure that those interpretations concern the same facts, similar situations, within a similar context. Okay, we cannot corroborate a fact that concerns, I think this is the example I just gave. Yeah. We cannot corroborate a statement about women's working conditions today with a text that talks about women's condition in the 50s. Can you still hear me? Yes? Okay, cool. So yeah, we cannot corroborate a statement about women's working conditions today with the text that talk about women's condition in the 50s, because for obvious reason the historical context is not the same. So when we corroborate information, we must make sure that those two or more sources of information comes from the same historical context. Well, the same context at all. We also cannot corroborate a limited number of interpretation and then be able to make a general statement about those being proven true. For example, I cannot only use only one article in order to justify the statement of the other article and say, oh well, two people said the same thing or basically the same thing, so that statement is true. It doesn't work that way, and we're going to see with a more concrete example of this with global warming. Okay, because there's a lot of confusion about global warming and interpretation of scientific findings. So we cannot corroborate a limited number of interpretation in general statement, but so there you go. Strength of an interpretation resides in the number, but not only on the number. This is one of many characteristics. Yeah, so here's a quick example of what I'm trying to say. With some difficulties, but we'll get through it. Many scientists are saying that the Earth climate is changing. So this is an interpretation. but that interpretation is based on scientific data collected with the help of scientific method. Those are facts that justify that, previously mentioned scientific interpretations. Some may say that Earth's climate is changing at a fast rate, another interpretation, and some other scientifics are saying that the changes happen to be, a little bit slower. Yeah, I'm choosing my word very wisely here. So how can we know exactly if Earth's climate is changing at a fast or at a slow rate? Because scientists are using the same data, the same information in order to say that either the changes are, fast, or the changes are happening at a slow rate. So how can we know if Earth's climate is changing at a fast or a slow rate? Because both of those sources of information appears to be, reliable, because they are scientific. They are people who are considered as, trustable, competent in their field of studying. But those have a different interpretation of the same information, and this is where your critical mind comes in. So you have to make decision about either you have to make a critical mind about either the changes on Earth's climate is fast or slow. And when making a mind, you have to, justify your choices, justify your position by using scientific or professional article or findings that help you in order to understand that in order to make a critical mind about it. So I'm hearing myself speaking, and I feel that I'm not as clear as I was at the beginning of this class. So what if we take it's already 11 and 11:30. So what if we take a 4 or 5 minutes break, just to take a little walk around and maybe do some other stuff. This is a good idea, I think. There's no much slides left. There's 10 slides left to discuss, but I really feel the need of moving a little bit. So let's be back. We'll be back in 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry, Donna. Oh yeah, all right. cannot hear you yet, unless I put my earbuds. There you go. I can hear you now. Hey, welcome back. Yeah. I think this is a good compromise between well, I mean compromise in terms of achieving our pedagogical intention, and but yeah, I think this is a good combination of using Zoom for questions, and YouTube for yeah, because I am recording the classes on YouTube. I see myself in a someone outside background. I think it's Stacy. I'm going to mute your microphone, Stacy. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is a good way that we can ensure that you're able to ask question in real time, and maybe speak with your classmate about about the information I'm giving you. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is more, YouTube is more like a one-way presentation, if I say so. The only way that we can, ensure interaction between people that watching the same video is by using the chat section. So we have to write down our intervention that may, maybe not the best way of communication, but yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, but there was some copyrights concern about using Zoom and then posting it our live discussion on YouTube, because for obvious reason you are speaking right now, so I cannot, without permission of students and other complex procedure, to publish that video that we can see or hear you on YouTube on a public platform. So yeah, I'm locked for with some ethical, I might say, or copyrights concerns. But that's why I chose to use the YouTube option, so I can reuse those videos for the next time I'll be giving the class. So I can reinvest what we talk about. Um, yeah, yeah. I thought I'd informed you about those, but yeah, you're probably right. I did not. I maybe did not give you information about that. So, if you're okay with that, we're going to yeah, yeah, yeah. This way we can ensure that you girls are communicating with each other. Cool. All right, so let's go back to let's go back to today's class, today's topic, where we were at. So yeah, corroboration. Do you had question about that? Um, I'm clear to myself, but I'm not sure that I'm clear to everyone else. So maybe if you have question for people that are listening on Zoom. So, maybe. All right. Yeah, we can go back. This is clear, perfectly clear. Wow. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. So you did verify the information that was presented to you. So you did some sort of corroboration in order to understand what corroboration means. Yeah. All right. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, that sentence, yeah, I do ask. So by corroborating scientific writing on that topic and interpretation alongside in order to make a critical mind about it. So yeah, this is the main argument that climato-sceptic, I don't know how to say it in English, that people who are skeptic about the climate change. This is basically they do not corroborate information. They do take some marginal thoughts about climate change and decide to use it as universal reality, and ignoring completely all the 99% of other scientifics that are that are saying that yes, the Earth climate is changing right now. So basically, what people say is that they take particular scientific um, findings, and they do not take in consideration any of others finding that exist on the same topic, which is very concerning. I mean, because you're ignoring the 99% of those scientific that are saying that Earth's climate is changing. So yeah, we must first address that different type of source. Yeah, like I said, scientific, professional, journalistic, and historical primary sources, etc. There's much more than that, but those are the four that we're going to discuss about. So, well, long story short, the reliability of a scientific source, like I said, usually resides in, admittedly a scientific method, but also a peer-to-peer reviewing process. So you don't have to verify the information that, the facts that are presented within a scientific source. But on the other side, professional source reside on the credibility of the institution behind an information, and some value of that institution. So this is where you must have a critical look when consulting the officials document, like a government document, other institution document, because there's a cultural background behind every institution in our society, and it's really important, and I'm probably sure that you're totally aware of that, but there's a cultural influence, okay, between every institution. For example, we use socio-constructivism theories in order to articulate our curriculum. But this is not, a universal way of teaching students. This is the way that the institution, which is the Ministry of Education, chose to as basis for the curriculum. So I put an example of Ministry of Education writing about curriculum versus Apple stating on usage of ICT on the benefits of learning with tablets, because private societies also commend some research. They found research in order to answer question, but Apple being an ICT, well, not exactly, but a digital company, it may have an influence on the result, on those findings, and also it will affect those statements that Apple may have on the usage of ICT. Well, in order to guide people's opinion about that, and it's not bad for their business if people think that tablets is a good way to it's a good way to teach in class. So yeah, you have to take that in mind about who is publishing that sources. A journalistic source resides on trust of the concerned media. Concerned media as being like CBC, I'm not sure if you TVA, Gazette, or New York Times, etc., etc. So the reliability of the information, can also be found by double checking and sometimes triple checking the information with another media from a different owner, because we know that multiple media can have the same owner. So if we double check within the same owner's media, it will more likely to be similar opinion or similar information, of course, because those companies are guided with some guidelines that they must respect when they are transmitting messages in their different medias. So if you're looking, for example, at the Journal de Montréal and comparing it with Journal de Québec, these are both owned by so easy, I cannot forget that name, Pierre Carl Pelado. I cannot find that media name. What's the brand of it? Well, it will get back later on. So yeah, from a different owner. An historical source resides on different authenticity parameters, like the author, the context of production, the intention, etc., etc. So we cannot actually take for granted that an historical source, the information that presented within an historical source, is true or not. We must take the context in mind when using an historical source as a source of information, like when it's published, who's the writer of that information, etc., etc. So basically, this is the same process that we use. Some of the source are, must be verified more strictly, and some others, like scientific. I'm not telling you that you have to, you have to be blind about the reliability of scientific sources, but this is less important if you do if you're not as rigorous, if you don't double check scientific source. It is not that big of a concern. So how to make sure a source is reliable. So I started with maybe ask some few question on information, or on someone that giving us that information. Well, first of all, ask yourself, what kind of source am I dealing with? Is it a professional source? Is it a scientific one? Is it institutional document? Is it to really be aware of the background behind those informations that you're about to read. So secondly, who's the author? Is he an activist? Well, of course, if he's an activist, the information presented may be, influenced by his activist actions. Is he scientific? Everything like that. What's the intention of the author? Well, even though you cannot be certain about it, you cannot be sure about the intention of someone, but there's some words that clearly indicates there's a tendency from the author, like the use of clearly. We don't use those kind of words when we talking about fact. Okay, we're trying to limitate the usage of those words. Where did you find the information? Is it on Facebook? Is it on a professional journal website? Is it on TV? Is it So where did I found information, and when the information have been published? Because a news that's 6, 7, or 8 years old maybe not as relevant as it can be today. So as it was 7 or 8 years before. So this main question that I usually ask myself when it comes to time to verifying the information. And obviously I've kind of developed a mental disease about it, I should say. I don't know how to say it, but every time I've developed a kind of a skeptical eye about everything I read, and especially everything that I see on social medias. So is it a bad thing? Well, you're the one to judge it, but I don't hate it when I'm sure that the information I'm sharing or I'm using is comes from a trustful source. So if you don't have at the time to take everything in note for those questions, those 5 points I showed in the PowerPoint, everything will be accessible on Moodle. So yeah. I also found that funny. So sorry. So it will be a bit more difficult to read because it's really written in small character, but it's from Daytona State College, and it's a formula that is adapted from the CSU, Carolina State University or California State University. I'm not sure about it. Well, the model is called CRAAP. Okay. I will, I will read it as I'm presenting it on screen. So yeah, this is the CRAAP model. You can clearly see what the acronyms sound like, but basically to verify the information that we see on the internet. This the method in 5 different steps that are different than those I have presented in the last slide. So well, C stands for currency, the timeliness of the information. So basically the information you're asking is, when was the information published or posted? Has the information been revised or updated? Does your topic require current information, or will older sources work as well? Are the links functional, etc., etc.? The R stands for relevance, so the importance of the information for your needs. This obviously a personal preference. The authority of the source of the information. So who's the author, publisher, source, sponsor? What are the author's credential or organizational affiliations? Is the author qualified to write on the topic? Is there contact information such as publisher or email address. Does the URL reveal anything about the author's sources? Example .com.edu. Yeah, because when looking at the URL, sorry, the Universal Resource Locator, www.google.com, is an URL. The last part of the URL for the .com, .edu, edu.gov, .org, .net, everything stands for a reason. For example, .com means .commercial, .edu means .education, .gov means for a government source, .org stands for an organism. And there's multiple of them, but make sure that the URL reveals some sort of reliability in that source. For example, .blogspot.net means that it's basically a blogger's opinion, which is not reliable at all. Accuracy, the reliability, truthfulness and correctness of the content. So where does the information comes from? Is the information supported by evidence as the information being reviewed or referred? Can you verify any of the information in another source or from personal knowledge? Does the language or tone seems unbiased? Yeah, well. And free of emotion? Are there spelling, grammar or typographical errors? There is in my PowerPoint presentations, by the way, but these are, I think, legitimate reasons for that. So it doesn't mean that the information are not reliable. Trust me. So and finally, the P stands for purpose. So the reason the information exists. So what the purpose of the information? Is it to inform, teach, sell, entertain, persuade? Do the author, sponsor make intention of purpose clear? Is the information fact, opinion, or propaganda? Does the point of view appears clearly objective and impartial? Are there political, ideological, cultural, religious, institutional, or personal biases? So this is, I think, a great model that you can use in order to clearly verify if the information that you're using is either reliable or not. Is the CRAAP model. I'm not going to say it all out because YouTube algorithm will block the content of my YouTube video. So yeah, the CRAAP model. Once again, if you do have questions, I know it is tiny, but it is presented in the PowerPoint version that I've uploaded on Moodle, so it's fully accessible for you, and a quick Google research will do the job as well. How to verify the context behind a picture, and this, I think, the last slide. Yeah, introducing a searching tool. We're going to address that in the next class because it's already 11:53 a.m. Okay, so how to verify the context behind a picture? If you're on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever, any other social media that you might be on, you will see in your feed most commonly nowadays that people are posting not only their opinions, but they are trying to give strength to their opinion by the uses of an image or a picture. For example, presenting the president in some way, the prime minister in some way, and using a picture a picture that's clearly taken out of its original context in order to make that pictures speak other things. So how to verify in 10 or 15 seconds a picture on internet? Well, I'm actually going to use a picture I do have. Hang on. Let's see. So, if I see a picture, and you know, most of the time pictures will come with quotes, and that doesn't mean that quote has been said by the person on that picture, by the way. So yeah, for example, I'll just download image, save image as, yeah, the desktop. There you go. Wouldn't be long. This shouldn't be long. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that one. All right. So, oh, there you go. So I won't tell you much more about the context of that picture, but this is a picture that I use because I'm part of that research laboratory, and so yeah, if this picture is used, whatever the context on the internet, with quote over it or something like that, and I want to make sure that this is the right picture according to the information that have been presented alongside that picture, the only thing I have to do is right click on that picture and select search for similar images on Bing. And this works as well when you're on YouTube. You don't have to download images or upload images into your PC. The only thing you have to do is when you see an image on the internet or on Facebook, on whatever, you just right click on it and search for similar images. Well, now it's so what it will do, it works better on the internet. I will go on Facebook though. This will be a more relevant example of what I mean. So, welcome to my Facebook feed. So yeah, for example, this picture right here. Okay, so this is basically commonly a picture that I been seeing on YouTube. It doesn't matter if you don't, if you're not able to read what's written there, but basically there's a picture, and the person that's publishing the picture put some words in order to make opinion on that picture, but without taking consideration what that picture and when it has been taken. So what I do, if I just right click on it and search Google for image, so it will open a new tab. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but basically what this is going to do is that Google is going to look out on the internet for that particular picture, okay, and see if there's any other website that have previously used that picture, in order to verify what was the context behind that picture. Does that picture was taken out of its original context in order to twist the meanings of it? Is there using a different angle of photography in order to present something and hide other things? So this is a real simple way that we can, I'm just looking for other pictures that we can actually look out on the internet. Yep. Oh, you don't see what I'm doing right now. Oh, actually you will be able to see it on YouTube. Yeah. Sorry, but I'm trying to explain what I mean by. So what I have to do is simply choose a picture that I want to verify the context between that picture and make sure that this is the original context that I've been taking in consideration when publishing a message under or over a picture. And what I have to do is simply right click on it and search Google for image, and it will give me all information about that picture. It will even identify people that are on pictures if I'm looking out on Google. So I'm not quite sure if this is clear enough for people that are not following discussion on YouTube. We will stop at noon, the YouTube live session, but I will be able to answer a question for a few moments afterwards. So I'm not quite sure if you can see what kind of manipulation I did, Donna, with that picture in order to verify the context of it, in order to look for it on the internet. Okay. So I did get that. I didn't hear what Donna said. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, cool. So what I did is I just went on my YouTube, on my Facebook feed, okay, as you can see, and I'm just looking at a picture, because yeah, I want to see where these pictures come from. So there's a little message over here, and sometimes an hate message, sometimes a most positive one. So basically what I have to do is right click on right click on that picture and select search Google for image. Yeah, search Google for image. So this way it will open a new tab or a new browser where Google actually searching for this particular image and how it can relate to people, context, news, and similar position. For example, if he's standing, he will look out for different people that are standing in the same position. So this way you can actually verify. And I took a picture for a thumbnail for my one of my YouTube video, and this is a green screen at the back of there. So obviously, and if I right click and search for similar image, yep. Yeah, actually, it will be available. All right. All right, no problem. If you do have a question, you can send me emails. So, yeah, thanks for attending. At least, yeah, cool. I'm pleased to hear that. Yeah, of course, of course. If you need any precision. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Cool. Have a good one. Bye bye. So yeah, this way I can clearly verify context behind pictures. So yeah, basically this is just make sure if there's no. Yeah, we're going to introduce more precisely how to, you know, be productive in our research using you know, basically Google search, but not only Google search. If we want to look out for different kind of information, we will discuss about different searching engines that we might tempted to use, and also how to target particular elements or information within a document, because you know, like I said earlier, human brains, and it's even more true for my brain, my personal brain, is lazy. Okay, so the less effort you're asking to your brain, you know, the more you'll be feeling. So I'll give you some information about that. Also, next class we're going to discuss about communication at the technology and digital era. So how digital technology changes the way we communicate, and especially how it changes the way that teachers are transmitting information to parents or or their students. So yeah, I think this this sums up pretty much what I had to present to you today. Do you have any question or asking for any more precision about things that have been said? Okay. All right. Okay, so anyways, if you if it happens to you know, you have questions during weeks or today's, feel free to send me an email. And if that question is too complicated, because you know, writing emails can be painful sometimes, you can just let me know. Sam, my question is too complex. Can you call me? So I will take a few times to call you when I have time to do so. So I'm making sure. Yeah, actually, you can refer to the class syllabus. I'm pretty sure I'm not saying it right, but yeah. Within the specific course content section, there's an additional note, the third column. Yeah, and there's assignment, and assignment with start with the deposit. For example, deposit of logbook 1, entries 1 to 3 is due for the May 25th. I might extend that period of time regarding to the actual situation. So yeah, I'll try to, you know, let you breathe a little bit if you I know you have another class to deal with. So yeah, I'm totally aware of the student's situation right now. So for today, I presented you know, information about how to verify, you know, the reliability of source and information that we refer to, and the reflective logbook entry of today's class, which is the second entry of the semester. The first one being your ICT portrait, I guess. So yeah, I basically say internet as giving us the possibility to access at so much more information that we had before the 90s. But quantity doesn't mean quality, and with a more easy access means that much more people are allowed to publish as much and anything as they want. Spacing, yeah. As former teachers, you'll be invited to consult external resource in order to achieve your professional duty or duties. How can you be sure that the information given to pupils rely on credible sources? And does the reliability of sources only concerns teachers' preparation, or it has something to do with your role of developing digital ICT competencies in student? I'm not. I just want to make sure that this is understandable questions, because yeah, it makes sense. Okay, cool. So yeah, basically, I want you to talk about your role on when teaching about informations, and how can you be sure that the information you're going to present to your students is reliable, credible, and truth, basically. Yeah. Within, I mean, a page, maybe a page, maximum a page and a half. You think? I think you should be able to have a critical reflection that stand on a page. Yeah. Good. So if you, all right. So if you don't have any more question, yeah. So see you next time. Probably on Friday. Yeah, exactly. So see you Friday. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to communicate by emailing me or calling me or whatever. So yeah, have a grateful day, and thank you for attendance. Yeah. Bye.